Have you ever wondered why some families gradually grow distant, even though they once loved each other deeply? Family bonds, seemingly the strongest ties, can sometimes be fractured by words that appear harmless. In a society where personal freedom and privacy boundaries are highly valued, many parents still carry traditional beliefs that children are forever their children, that love can be expressed through stern advice. But this unintentional way of speaking, especially when the children are already adults, often creates growing distance. Many parents, despite their deep love, unintentionally use language that makes their children feel guilty, pressured, or even suffocated. Without realizing it, they may lose the chance to truly connect with their loved ones. However, by making just a small change in the way we speak, we can restore closeness. Instead of using subtly accusatory remarks, we can choose to communicate clearly, gently, yet still with warmth and love. This video will help you identify 5 harmful phrases that older adults should avoid saying to their adult children, and suggest positive, constructive, and more connecting alternatives. If you feel this topic resonates with you, please share your thoughts in the comments, because who knows, one small change in the way we speak today might make a big difference for your family. Now let's begin this journey of healing through our very own words. Parental love is sacred, yet sometimes a single unintended remark can make that relationship feel heavy. One of the most common, yet most hurtful phrases is, "After everything I've done for you." Have you ever wondered why a statement meant to express love and sacrifice might actually create distance rather than closeness? Because when children hear those words, they don't just hear affection. They also feel pressure, even a sense of debt. It turns parental love, which should be unconditional, into something they feel obligated to repay. As personal values and independence are increasingly emphasized, many adult children find such reminders of sacrifice uncomfortable or even emotionally manipulative. They might think, "My parents did all this for me, and now I have to live up to their expectations." This can lead to feelings of judgment and hinder honest connections. But the good news is, a parent's emotions, such as missing their child or wanting to spend time together, can be expressed in a much softer, more positive way while still holding deep love. Love doesn't have to come wrapped in guilt or reminders of sacrifice. It can begin with a simple invitation. Instead of saying, "After everything I've done for you," try something like, "I miss you. Let's find a time to meet." This expresses a desire for connection without making the child feel pressured or guilty. It creates a gentle space where they can respond freely, not as a repayment, but as a genuine choice. Just one small shift in wording can make a big difference. When you express what you truly want, presence, closeness, instead of what you feel is lacking, you open the door to reconnection. And chances are, your child, no matter how busy, will feel more at ease and more willing to come closer. If you've ever felt your child becoming more distant after starting their own family, the next phrase could widen the gap even more, especially when parents unintentionally place blame on their child's spouse. One of the most sensitive moments in the parent-child relationship is when a parent blurts out, "Your spouse is the reason you've become distant from us." It may sound like a simple lament, but in truth, it is an emotional arrow that can deeply wound and divide. Have you ever wondered why expressions of sadness or longing, when paired with blame, often lead children to respond with silence? Because when parents say things like this, it puts the child in a position where they feel they have to choose sides. They are forced to stand between two people they love, their parents and their spouse. The remark subtly implies, "You've changed because of someone else." It creates a sense of undeserved guilt. In modern relationships, independence and autonomy in marriage are deeply respected. Building a life with a spouse does not mean rejecting one's parents. But when the growing distance is blamed, especially on the partner, the child may feel misunderstood, judged, and their natural response is often to withdraw. The truth is, parents can absolutely express a desire to be closer without hurting anyone or triggering conflicts of loyalty. Instead of searching for someone to blame, look for ways to create a connection. Try a simple phrase like, "We'd love to spend more time together as a family. What would work best for everyone?" This approach puts connection at the center rather than judgment. It helps the child feel invited, not pressured, and it makes the spouse feel respected, welcomed as part of the family, rather than cast as a wedge, as the old phrase implies. Changing your words changes the emotional tone. A loving phrase, free of blame, can open the door to positive conversation. And from that, you can create joyful gatherings, warm meals, and moments where no one feels awkward or forced. When parents take the lead in softening their tone and shifting their language, they not only preserve their bond with their child, but also lay a strong foundation for the whole extended family. Because at the core, what both adult children and their spouses long for is to feel accepted and understood. Next, we'll look at another seemingly harmless phrase, one that can unintentionally hurt an adult child's confidence and autonomy. When parents begin with the words, "Back in my day, we did things differently." In conversations between parents and children, there's a common, yet often hurtful form of comparison. "Back in my day, we did things differently." While it may start with good intentions, this phrase unintentionally puts the child in a position of being judged, as if their choices are somehow inferior or wrong. Have you ever noticed your child go quiet after you said something like that? Have you seen their expression drop as though they've just been criticized, simply because their way of living, parenting, or spending differs from yours? The truth is, every generation faces its own context, its own challenges, and its own set of values. Your day was a time before smartphones, before remote work, before mental health issues were openly acknowledged. Their day is a world of constant speed, competition, and the need to both live and heal at the same time. When parents unintentionally make these comparisons, children often feel like they're never good enough in the eyes of the very people who raised them. Worse still, they may share less, seek advice less, and drift away out of fear of being judged. Instead of starting with comparison, you can begin with curiosity. Rather than asserting that the old way is better, try understanding why your child chose their approach and open your heart to truly listen. A simple but powerful phrase is, "How do you go about this? I'm curious to learn." It may sound small, but it opens a judgment-free space for dialogue. It shows your child that you're not trying to preach, but genuinely want to connect and understand. It turns you from a decision-maker into a companion. Language can be a wall or a bridge. When you choose softer words, you're building a bridge. And your child, no matter how different, will likely want to cross that bridge to meet you. Respecting differences doesn't diminish your role as a parent. On the contrary, it helps your grown child see you as a wise friend, someone they can share with, seek guidance from, and lean on when needed. And perhaps that's the most enduring kind of relationship any parent could wish for. In the next section, we'll explore a phrase that seems to show concern, but often makes children feel like they're never doing enough. "You never call or come visit. One of the most common complaints parents have when their children grow up is, "You never call or come visit." It may sound simple, but it often carries a heavy emotional weight, from disappointment and loneliness to subtle blame. Sadly, this phrase rarely brings the connection parents are truly hoping for. Have you ever said this to your child, only to receive a forced smile, a quick, "I've just been really busy," or even silence in return? Have you ever wondered why your child calls less often, even though you were once so close? The answer isn't necessarily that they don't care. It may be that every time they try to reconnect, they feel judged. When they hear, "You never call," they recall the times they did make an effort, texting, stopping by, calling, only to be told it wasn't enough. Over time, this can lead them to withdraw, simply to avoid starting every conversation on a defensive note. Reaching out is personal, and time is precious. Feeling like their efforts go unnoticed can quickly discourage them. But you absolutely can express a desire to connect without making your child feel guilty. Sometimes just a slight shift in how you say things can bring a completely different response. Instead of saying, "You never call or visit," try, "I really enjoy talking with you. Let's catch up when you have a moment." This phrase extends a gentle invitation rather than a judgment. It focuses on the joy you feel when they do call, rather than on how often they don't. When framed this way, your child is more likely to feel appreciated, not guilt-tripped. What you're really saying is, "You matter to me," but you're saying it in a way that feels lighter, warmer, and more inviting. And that's the key to rebuilding a connection that may have drifted. When parents shift from blame to invitation, from expectation to appreciation, they open the door to a new kind of relationship, one where grown children can be themselves, yet still want to come home, drawn by the sense of belonging, not obligation. And now, let's turn to the final, and perhaps most emotionally heavy phrase, "You'll regret this when I'm gone." A sentence that may sound like a heartfelt reminder, but often carries emotional manipulation and pushes children even further away. There's a phrase many parents have uttered in moments of emotional overwhelm, yet it's one that can deeply wound their children. "You'll regret this when I'm gone." It may sound like a wake-up call, but in truth, it carries the weight of emotional manipulation. You may have thought, "I just want my child to realize the value of their parents while we're still here." But try stepping into your child's shoes. Someone juggling work, their own family, and life's endless pressures, and then suddenly hearing that. They won't just feel sad, they'll feel fearful, guilty, and confused. What am I doing wrong? Am I being a bad child? In Western culture, where healthy emotional boundaries are encouraged, phrases like this are often seen as a form of emotional coercion, an attempt to control through fear. Though it may come from loneliness or a longing for attention, this statement can make children feel like their love, no matter how genuine, will never be enough. And from that place, they begin to withdraw. They call less. They share less. Not out of indifference, but because the relationship no longer feels safe for them to show up authentically. But the beautiful truth is, you can still remind your child to cherish the present without invoking guilt or loss. By focusing on what you truly desire, connection, shared moments, precious time together, rather than future regret, you shift the entire tone. Try saying something like, "Time with you is so precious. Let's make more memories together." It feels much lighter, doesn't it? This kind of language invites closeness without pressure or fear. It shows your child that you're living fully in the present and asking them to join you, not out of duty, but out of love. Love shouldn't be wrapped in threats, even subtle ones. When you choose to speak with warmth and positivity, you create a safe, emotional space, a place where your children want to return, want to call, want to make plans, not out of fear of losing you, but because they feel loved and welcomed. None of us knows what tomorrow holds, but today, if we choose to speak kindly, to build meaningful moments, and to let love flow naturally through our words, that in itself is the greatest gift we can give and receive as parents and as children. Thank you for taking the time to listen. The very fact that you care about how you communicate with your children is in itself a deeply loving and admirable act. Together, we've explored 5 phrases that may sound familiar, yet carry the potential to cause harm if spoken without care. And through that, we've discovered just a small change in wording, a gentler tone of voice, can bring parents and their grown children closer in ways that heal and reconnect. I truly believe you don't have to be a perfect parent. Simply being willing to listen, to shift your language just a little, is enough to help your child feel safe enough to come back home. So today, what was the most valuable insight you've taken with you? Which phrase might you choose to change in your next conversation? If this video touched something in your heart, please consider sharing it with someone you care about, or leave a comment below. Who knows? Your story might be the doorway through which another parent finds their own answer. And if you'd like to continue nurturing connection, even as your children grow older, I invite you to follow along with my upcoming content. Because every conversation is a chance to heal, and every word can be a seed of deeper connection. Finally, let me leave you with this message from the heart. It is never too late to start speaking with kindness, to love without conditions, and to become a friend to the adult children you once held in your arms.